Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Championship Prediction League. Big smile on my face. Sorry, Oli, for getting you on the night after the game before, because Coventry went to Bramall Lane and they only went and won. In more positive news for you, Oli, you did do well with the midweek predictions, though, mate. You got 7 points, the same as Gab. I only got 5, and that gap at the top is closing. I'm on 148. You're on 138. Gab's on 131. Getting a bit shaky at the top. How are you feeling heading into the weekend, mate?
I mean, ultimately, that's the real quiz, isn't it? The football is one thing, but I won 7-5 in the game that really mattered. So I'm feeling great. No, obviously, it's one of those where we have to try and claw this gap back. We've been so far behind you at one point, Simon, that just being in the vicinity is starting to feel quite nice. So hopefully we back it up. But I think there's some really difficult fixtures to call. I think we'll be talking about some really good games and ones that could go either way.
Absolutely, and we will get stuck into them now. Remember, if you're playing on along at home, it's 1 point if you get a correct result. It's 3 points for a correct score, and it's 5 points and the bonus points for a correct score with 5 goals or more. The lead at the top is slipping. Ollie, let's start with Friday night and Bristol City Watford. I mean, Bristol City, for me, I think are the toughest team to predict potentially in the league, along with QPR. They're so hard to beat. They obviously beat Blackburn in midweek, but prior to that, they drew with Wrexham at home and they got beaten 5-0 by Derby at home as well, not too recently. Watford went and beat Derby in midweek and looked a little bit improved as well. So I'm stuck on this one, mate.
The last time that Bristol City put together 2 consecutive results, and when I say 2 consecutive results, what I mean is drew 2 in a row, lost 2 in a row, or won 2 in a row, was Christmas.
I mean, and can I just point out, Watford didn't beat Derby in the midweek. They lost to Ipswich at home midweek. I did know that, and I did forget that. Continue.
So yeah, they just don't string results together. So if Bristol City won midweek, the only thing that the form tells me is that they won't win again at the weekend because they never put 2 results together in a row. I think this is one of the hardest games to predict. You know, I said there, I think there's going to be some really good games, some really competitive, high-level championship games. This is one of them. 2 teams absolutely bearing down in this sort of chase for the playoffs. I think both of them would probably say, given their form, they're lucky to still be in the race because nobody's really pulled away from them or left them in the dirt. I am leaning towards a Watford win. I know they lost to Ipswich, but I do think they've shown signs of improvement since Still's come in. I think they could maybe get back to the team we all thought they were around Christmas time. So I'm going to back a 2-1 Watford win because I'm backing the inconsistency of Bristol City.
Wow, I've gone for the most obvious 1-1 of all time, and I'm so boring with that. But I need to stay top of the league and get, grind these results out like Frank Lampard. That's what I'm trying to do here. Leicester versus Norwich up next is an interesting one as well. Leicester obviously improved under Gary Rowett, 2 draws in a row. Philippe Clement, just brilliant as Norwich manager so far. How do you see this one, mate? Because I think I'm going for another 1-1 draw. I'll get that out there straight away.
I'm with you. I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this one because I find Leicester impossible to predict. I couldn't tell you what level of performance they're going to turn in. Gary Rowett tends to have a consistency about him. He's good at grinding out points, grinding out results. And I think I'm going to expect his Leicester team to start doing that between now and the end of the season. Draws here and there will probably be enough to just about get them to the magic number. So, yeah, 1-1.
I watched them at Boro. I watched the full 90 minutes of that game, and they were pretty decent, to be honest. Very competitive, hard-working, everything you expect a Gary Rowett team to be. And I think they will just draw their way probably to safety. Norwich, I feel like have been on a winning run and then obviously lost at home to Birmingham in a bit of a shock result, that one. And I just feel like now their playoff hopes are pretty much over. We might see a little drop-off in performance. They're obviously one of the better teams in the Championship. We know that. I've gone for a draw there as well. The John Eustace derby, mate. Derby versus Blackburn. Or is it the Sammy Schmodix derby? I don't know anymore. I don't know on this one. I don't know. I'll let you go first.
I do know exactly what I think. I think Derby are good. I think Blackburn are not. And, you know, I know Blackburn have an uptick in form, but I'm still looking at the Championship. I'm still looking at the likely relegation contenders. And Blackburn, despite winning 3 of their last 5, still to me look like a team teetering in terms of it'll only take a couple of results for them to maybe have a significant drop-off. I think particularly as we get towards that international break, it's going to be really, really interesting what their form does, because is Michael O'Neill going to be distracted? Is there going to be any knock-on effect in terms of how that goes? I'm going to back a really comfortable Derby win. And maybe I've got this one wrong. Maybe I'm miles off. But I think that Derby, ultimately are a better team than Blackburn. I do think it's quite likely there'll be a division between these two next season. So I'm going to back a 3-0 Derby win.
Oh my word, that's massive. I would say my counter argument to that is Derby have a lot of defensive injuries in particular at the moment. Joel Ward wasn't fully fit when he came on. I think they played a back four full of left-footed players in the defeat to Hull, which might explain why they conceded 4 goals. Dion Sanderson's only just coming back. I think Callum Elder broke his toe as well against Hull and had to go off at half-time. I'm a bit worried about their defence. So I think Blackburn might score, I think I'm going to give Blackburn a goal and a narrow. I'm going for a narrow 2-1 defeat. Derby 2, Blackburn 1. I just think they might come up a little bit short.
Really enjoyed. I'm going to give Blackburn a goal. You're so kind, Simon.
They can. I'm more confident they might stay up than you, mate. So yeah, I think West Brom and Leicester are in a bit more trouble. Portsmouth Hull. Are we on for more goals? Surely.
Well, I mean, in Hull games, you always back the goals, don't you? That feels as though it's always the way to go. Whether they're going to go in their net, in somebody else's net, it's always hard to predict. I've been going on about this all season. I mean, you look at that game against Derby. Have you seen the XG? Because honestly, it's borderline offensive.
Was it 3 shots on target, 4 goals scored for Hull? Because that is just so efficient.
Yep. 3 shots on target, 4 goals scored, an XG of 0.5. Derby, 6 shots on target, 9 big chances, 7 big chances missed, and an XG of 3.4. Like, I don't understand how they get away with it. I just don't know if it's voodoo or what it is.
Ollie, I told you back in December, XG, schmexg. That's what I said about Hull, and it's run through the entire course of the season.
I need to get that clear in my brain. XG, schmexg, XG, schmexg, and then suddenly I'm going to get the answers right. I'm going to back Portsmouth to do what Portsmouth do, and that is to grind out a bit of a nasty win at home. And I'm going to say that for the first time, I'm going to back the unders. I think Portsmouth 1, Hull 0.
Oh, that'd be a massive win for them. I think Portsmouth will survive. I think Hull are just going to try and grind it out, and they've got chasing pack now, aren't they, in like Wrexham and Southampton and even Birmingham now, who are really coming for them. I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2, plenty of goals, plenty of goal math action. It's just Hull I'm basing that on. I think Portsmouth are a decent outfit as well at the moment. Brings us to QPR Sheffield United. Over to the Blade. I think Sheffield United will go and win this one.
Yeah, it's hard to predict where United's season's going to go. Because I think, ultimately looking at it now as a United fan, the season's over. There's no... I think after the defeat on Wednesday night to Coventry, I think that's the end of the playoffs conversation. I don't think we will make it. And I think it would be a very, very brave man to stand here and say that they still think they've got a chance, being 9 points behind Wrexham. I said at Christmas, between now and the end of the season, we can catch 8 points on Wrexham. There's no reason we wouldn't be able to do that. From now till the end of the season, there's not enough games. They've matched us point for point since the reason that we really started chasing them down. And that's fair play. We aren't good enough to get there defensively. We've let ourselves down. The goalkeeper's thrown too many points away. And so, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how United reacts to that and what we now do to the end of the season. It feels like planning for next year, which players are going to earn contracts, which players are still going to be with us, who are we going to be trying to move on in the summer. So I think it's going to be entertaining. I think we might be the best team to watch from now till the end of the year because we're just going to throw caution to the wind and enjoy ourselves. So I think we will react. I think we will win this game. I'm going for the bonus points. I'm going to say QPR 2, United 3.
Wow, similar philosophy to me. I've gone QPR 1, Sheffield United 2. I said QPR were difficult to predict earlier. How can you go and beat Hull and score 3 goals and then get hammered 5-0 by Southampton? I don't understand what I'm going to get for them week to week. They could well go and win this game, but I'm backing them to lose to Sheffield United. Charlton Wrexham, you spoke about Wrexham there, Ollie. Flying right now. 3 wins out of 4 in all competitions. Currently 6th, definitely in the playoffs, looking really good. Charlton could only manage a draw at West Brom, and I think you have to look at it like that, given Eric Ramsey's since been sacked. It's their 3rd draw in their last 5 league games, but they only need, they're in a far better position than Leicester. They only need to draw most of their remaining games to stay in this league, and that's the main aim, isn't it? How are they going to fare at home to Wrexham?
It's a really tricky one to predict, I think, this game, because Wrexham just look like a really good team. When they're on it, maybe they are, more than worthy of being a top 6 side. I think it's going to be a really interesting battle from now till the end of the season. Birmingham, Wrexham, Southampton. That chase is going to be so much fun to watch. And as neutrals who no longer have any sort of stake in the game, I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I think that this is a real banana skin that maybe people have sort of taken the eye off a little bit. I think there's obviously the huge FA Cup game next weekend, Wrexham hosting Chelsea. Will there be a little bit of a calm before the storm approach to this one at the weekend? And with that in mind, I think Charlton are a team you wouldn't want to play in this kind of situation. I think they're a really sort of difficult opponent. I'm going to back a 1-1. I think Charlton will keep ticking over, picking up the points they need. And I think Wrexham will ultimately see that as consolidating where they're at, albeit maybe 2 points dropped.
I've gone for a very narrow 1-0 Wrexham win. Can't see there being many goals.
No.
But I just think Parkinson's teams are well set up most of the time. I think they're going to be okay. Sheffield Wednesday, Southampton, very straightforward. I've gone for a 3-0 Southampton win. Ollie, I've got a feeling that you might have gone for bonus points, no?
Bonus points. This feels like a bonus points. I've gone for a 5-0 Southampton win. Obviously, after the news at Wednesday this week, there's going to be an even more deflated atmosphere in terms of what's going on at Hillsborough. Obviously, what happened last weekend, then the takeover falling apart. Maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel, because I do think that the likelihood of it being Mike Ashley gives them a much more positive future vision. I don't understand any of the conversation about what's happening next season and why they can negotiate away a points deduction, but that's for the EFL to sort out, and obviously will be a League One problem. It's just going to be a really tough slog for them to the end of the season. And 5-0 Southampton.
I'm not backing them to lose 5-0 because that's what I did last week against when they played Norwich, and they only lost 2-0 to Norwich. So that's that. Ipswich versus Swansea up next. A rare home game, really, this for Ipswich, Ollie, given their run of away games. It feels like we've talked about it all season. That win away in midweek, the game's in hand, Middlesbrough slipping up. Are Ipswich coming? Is this the time?
Look at the joy in your face. If I'd have asked you about Ipswich coming a month ago, you would, no, God, I hope they don't. Today he's smiling, he's talking about Boro.
Don't care.
Let them have as many points as they want. They'll be fine. Somebody's feeling very confident. Ipswich, I think it's 3 home games in a row they've got now, isn't it? Including one of their games in hand midweek. And this, for me, is going to be the defining period of the season. I think that the last 10 days have been what I would say defining in terms of, I believe that that's enough that I would say that Coventry have got the buffer and 1 foot in the Premier League. That's how you title it, isn't it? They've got 1 foot in the Premier League because the last 10 days have been that decisive. I think we're now looking at Ipswich's 10 days. Can you string together another 3 wins in a row from these next 3 home games, at which point they will be as close to level with Boro as you could expect them to be? I think it's a really, really exciting chase now. We have 12 games left to go. Obviously, a lot more than that for Ipswich, but maybe they'll get there. I'm going to back them to follow it up. I think they will win. I'm going bonus points again. I think I've realised that as we get to the end of the season, I need to close that gap as soon as possible. I'm going to back a 4-2 Ipswich win.
Wow. Very similar to me. I've gone 3-1. I think Vipotnik will probably score for Swansea. I think they are dangerous going forward, but ultimately, I think I agree with you. Ipswich really key to part of the season for them. I think they've got a lot of goals in them as well.
Yeah.
And there's even Philogene to throw back into the mix when he's back fit as well. Coventry 3, Stoke 0 is what I'm saying, Ollie, for Coventry versus Stoke. Start with my score prediction there. Gone really strong. I think what we've seen from Cov recently has been a different team, grinding out results. The defensive wants to defend, the blocks, the clearances. What we saw at Sheff United was brilliant, I thought. And they're looking like a team that know they only have to get 6-7 more wins in the last 12 games to guarantee promotion. I think these home games are now crucial as well. Stoke did win in midweek, but I think there's a good chance Coventry go and run away with this game. I am worried about the Mark Robbins factor, returning to the CBS, all of that, but I have to back the boys. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I've agreed with you. I've got 3-0 Coventry. That's where I've gone on this one. A couple of weeks ago, I think I sat on this show and I said Boro were the best team I've seen at Bramall Lane. I'm going to add a caveat to it. Boro are the best team I've seen at Bramall Lane with the ball. Without the ball, I can't believe how effective Coventry were. that desperation to block when the shots were coming in, that sort of organisation to limit movement, to stop anybody being able to get the run on. I thought United played well. I thought we played really well. I thought we matched Coventry for the majority of the game, but in the big moments, particularly in terms of defensive concentration, organisation, the desperation almost to make sure the ball didn't go in the back of your net was just something that we've not seen from many teams in the Championship this year. I was so impressed. So I think I will be trying to get with Coventry clean sheets. If that's the way they're going to be approaching games, I think that feels sensible to me. They seem like a team who just want to keep the ball away from their own net. And, you can't say that about everybody when you watch them play. So I'm going to say 3-0 to Coventry. I think this will be a party atmosphere. I think once the first goal goes in, they'll just get rolling.
Hope so, mate. Third game in a row, by the way, Cov having less possession than the opposition at Sheff United. And the third game in a row they've won. They probably will have more possession than Stoke. So see how that pans out. I think this is the biggest game of the weekend. Oxford, West Brom. I'll let you run with this one.
Oxford, West Brom. Well, what do we expect from West Brom? This is the question that I don't know the answer to. What do I expect from West Brom? Obviously, they've had to move on from the disastrous appointment of Ramsey. I don't think it's his fault. He came into a really difficult situation, but you can't argue he made that team worse. All of the metrics, so their XG against, points won, they just got worse under every metric in terms of what he was trying to instill into the squad. And so they probably felt they had to roll the dice. They couldn't afford to take a gamble. But what does that do? Did they get any notable new manager bounce last time? No. So do I think they're going to get one this time? Possibly not. And particularly going away to Oxford, because Oxford, I said that Coventry have got 1 foot in the Premier League. Oxford have got 1 foot in League One, but they are still fighting for everything they can get at the minute. They're really not going to go down without a fight. They want to make sure that they are competitive, pushing forward. Not many teams go and just beat Oxford without knowing they've been in a game. I know we did at Bramall Lane a couple of weeks ago. They came and really put it on us for the first sort of half until United were able to get ahead. I'm going to predict that while it's the biggest game of the weekend, I'm going to predict it might be the most boring. I'm going to say that this ends as a 0-0 with neither team able to break the other down.
Really? Is it who's in charge of West Brom? Is it James Morrison? I think it is.
James Morrison, yeah.
I think that is right. And I think he's taken charge of 3 games before. Here we go. 0-0 at Cardiff, 5-3 win over Luton, and a win over Swansea, I believe, away game. So he's got a reasonable record when he's been in caretaker charge. I think, though, this is so tough to put pin on what West Brom are going to do here and turn up and how they're going to act. I think Oxford have to win this game, otherwise they're relegated, pretty much. This is their season.
That's fair.
If they lose this game, they're gone. I'll put a line through them. They're done. For that reason, I think they can get something, and I think they can go and do it, and I think they can take advantage of a West Brom side who will be nervy, because they also know that if they lose to Oxford, they're in such big trouble, and they bring them back into the mix. I'm going Oxford 1, West Brom 0. Not based on a lot, based on the home atmosphere, the will to win. It's what I need to see from Bloomfield's men. Need to see it. I think they will get the job done. I think West Brom may improve if they appoint a proper manager. Someone with experience comes in. Mate, is that disrespectful?
No, I think that's fair. I do think it's reasonable. And I think, it ultimately sums up their last 8 games, doesn't it? Where if they'd gone out and they'd got, somebody with maybe a bit more experience, if they got somebody who had a knowledge of the Championship and what to expect in terms of that sort of level, maybe they'd be in a much better position than they are now. Maybe if they'd stuck with Ryan Mason, they'd be in a much better position than they are right now. And you look at the clubs around them, you look at that recruitment at Leicester, they went and got Gary Rowett. When they thought they were in trouble, they didn't know what to do, they got Gary Rowett, and we're both saying that's probably going to be enough to keep them up. And so, Blackburn, Michael O'Neill, what do West Brom do now? They can't afford to roll the dice again. They need a really experienced Championship manager to get them out of this mess. So it's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Penultimate game, we're going to preview Preston, Millwall. I think Preston are going to slide away from the playoff mix. They've now failed to win in 3 because they conceded that last-minute goal against Swansea. Millwall, meanwhile, what a statement win that was for them against Birmingham. I'm backing them to follow it up here, Ollie. 2-0 away win. I think Millwall are looking back. I think they will finish in the top 6, and I can't see Preston getting back into it.
No, I agree. Of course, they conceded 90 plus 4 because they were all high, weren't they, by that point of the game because of that smell that was lingering around the tunnel at
Paul Heckingbottom, yeah, might have had that as an excuse, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's certainly what I think he was trying to go for in his post-match press conference when he was talking about the impact of Snoop Dogg going to visit Swansea at the weekend. But yeah, ultimately, I think, Preston have had a really good season. Think back to what we were saying, and it might not feel like that, I think. Sometimes when you talk about them, you're talking about a team who were in and competing with the playoffs, and they were right in that battle for so much of the season. But go back to where we were in September, and I had Preston in a real fight to stay up. I had them staying up. I thought that Heckingbottom would do enough to keep them above the dotted line, but I thought they'd be in a battle. I thought they'd be struggling down at the bottom, and they've actually had a really successful season, completely above expectations, with no even consideration that they might be in sort of the kind of battle they were last season. So I don't want a poor end to the season to pile negativity onto a club who actually should maybe be looking at this as another successful season where they've performed well above their budget and well above the expectations they'll have. But I think Millwall are on for potentially a special season. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they give themselves a real opportunity in terms of what they could do beyond that, because they're so hard to play against. There is nobody in that top six who will be sat there thinking, oh, I can't wait to play Millwall in the playoffs. That's not what anybody wants. So, yeah, I'm going to back the away win as well. I'm going to go 2-1 to Millwall.
And we finish with another massive game. Birmingham, Middlesbrough. This is just huge, isn't it? Middlesbrough, obviously, winless in 3, knocked out by Cov at the CBS, and since then failed to beat Oxford and Leicester at home, drawing both those games. And Birmingham, we'd have fancied them recently, but then they go to Millwall and get absolutely tonked. So where do we lie on this one? Where do we land?
Where do we land indeed? I think that's a really key question that I'm not sure anybody knows the answer to. I think actually it's almost as if it's too early to predict this game because of when it happens. This game is kicking off last. It's Monday night. Everybody else has played on Saturday. If Ipswich do what we've predicted, both of us said they will beat Swansea at home. If Ipswich go out and beat Swansea at home, then I am comfortable in my prediction. My prediction is that I think Birmingham win this game 2-0. I think their excellent home record will shine through. I think it'll be a really difficult game for Boro, and if they're not right on it, they will be susceptible to getting done here. This is a hard place to go for a team who are breathing right down the necks of the playoffs. Yes, disappointing result midweek. But again, nobody wants to go and play Millwall. That's why, because it's what they can do to you. Whereas if Ipswich drop points, let's say Ipswich draw at home to Swansea, I think that gives Middlesbrough a new sort of lease of life. I think they'll attack this game knowing that it's a free hit. They know they've got nothing to lose. It's all about that pressure management. And I think that's where it's really going to start to burn for Boro. So I'm saying my prediction is Ipswich win, which then means my follow-up prediction is that Birmingham win this 2-0. But if we see a different outcome in the Ipswich game, then I would probably end up changing this prediction before Monday.
If Coventry win, they are 8 points clear of Middlesbrough before they kick off.
Coventry are upside. Just get the champagne out.
What I would suggest are the team you haven't even really mentioned. If Millwall win at Preston, like we've said, by the time Boro kick off, Millwall are a point behind them. That is massive.
What?
That is massive. Millwall could be a point behind Middlesbrough by kick-off. They're only 4 points behind them. Yeah.
What?
You haven't even mentioned Millwall. 3 out of their last 4.
I didn't even, that weren't something that was on my, I'd not even considered it as a thing. Wow, yeah, all right. That is, wow. Maybe we've been sleeping on them. Maybe we have. Maybe I have overly slept on Millwall.
I think Millwall are flying. I think they can win. But anyway, the pressure will be on Boro to perform because I think Ipswich will probably win. I'd expect Millwall to win. I'd expect Coventry to win. And then the heat really is on. And this is where, as you know, as a Sheff United fan, as the Leeds fans know last season, the order which you play games really, really matters. The pressure really does pile on. And it means an awful lot. Birmingham being very good at home. I'm going for a 2-2 draw, which both teams would probably take, would they? I don't even want to speak for them. I think they probably would both take a draw.
I don't. Do you know what? It's controversial. I don't think either team would take a draw. I don't think they would because I think Middlesbrough are looking at that. And if they take a draw, that then puts it in Ipswich's hands, assuming Ipswich beat Swansea.
But they've got to play each other.
But they have got to play each other. But would you? That is. And Birmingham are starting, what are they? 5 points behind Wrexham as it stands. Yeah, Wrexham have won on Saturday. They go in 8 points behind Wrexham. That is a lot to claw back. And, you know, assuming the draw, that'd then be 7 points. It's asking so much. So this is a really difficult one, but I don't think anybody's happy with a draw. I think both teams know that they need to go out and win this one.
Well, I'm going to go for a result that nobody's going to be happy with then. They're both going to be fuming at full time. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who's going to win, Birmingham or Middlesbrough? I think that's the big game on Monday night. Who's going to be right? Is Oli going to catch me in the Championship Prediction League? I certainly hope not. Thanks for watching, guys. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you after the weekend to reflect on these results.